Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Every day there are countless books and articles that are published offering the key on how to make your business a success. It's easy to feel overwhelmed trying to keep up and run your business. That's why Deb Creer created the Business Power Hour. Keep up on the latest trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. Let the Business Power Hour do the heavy work for you.
Good morning. Good morning. I am Deb Creer, and I am passionate about giving professionals the tools that they need to make themselves and their businesses as successful as possible. And as you know, the entire month of February, we are focusing on AI. It is the flavor of the month. And we do know that shortly after we record these programs, some of the stuff that we talk about will be out of date because it is such a rapidly evolving technology. But it is such a fabulous business tool. And so that was why I wanted to focus our whole month on this. So I am delighted to welcome fellow C-Suite Network member, Brynne Tillman, to our program today. Welcome, Brynne. How are you?
Thanks, Deb. I'm great, and I'm happy to be here.
Great. Well, let me tell people a little bit about you, and then we'll jump in. So Brynne Tillman is the CEO of Social Sales Link and The Modern Banker, and the new personalized AI platform, AskSSI.ai. She teaches professionals how to leverage LinkedIn and AI to start trust-based conversation. It's very important, without being salesy. She is also the co-author with Jeb Blount of the upcoming book, The LinkedIn Edge. So again, Brynne, welcome.
Thank you. And it's AskSSL.ai.
That's how it's said. Yep. And we do have a link in the show notes.
Great. Thank you.
So tell us, especially since this is such a rapidly evolving technology platform, whatever we're calling all of this, how is it that you got to where you are today?
Well, where I am today is very different than where I was a year ago, which is very different than where I was decades ago.
Right.
But ultimately, my world is around leveraging LinkedIn and AI for business development.
Right.
So I love sales. I was a producer. I was a sales trainer. The one piece I didn't love was the cold calling. And although it works very well for some people, it was my least favorite thing to do. But I was in sales and it was just part of it. And I recall sitting across from a client staring at an overflowing Rolodex in 1992, thinking if I could get my hands on that for 20 minutes, I could identify who he knew that I wanted to meet, ask for introductions, and I wouldn't have to cold call anymore. Well, fast forward a couple of decades, and that's what we got with LinkedIn. Right. So we have the ability to filter and search our connections, and ultimately leverage our relationships to get warm introductions or permission to name drop. And when I saw that, I'm like, I don't want to do anything else. I just want to teach this.
I love it. Well, I think the big thing, we'll jump into AI later, but let's do a little bit more about LinkedIn right now, because so many people have absolutely no idea about what it can even do, right? When we first got on LinkedIn, we put our resume in and then we didn't do anything else, and then we might tinker with it a little bit. We might remember to update it. We might, forget that we've got a profile. So now we have 4 or 5, but it is such a great way to connect with people. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, so LinkedIn is phenomenal for a few reasons. Number one, it's your own Rolodex, right? You connect with people, but it's also a dynamic Rolodex. So, back in the day when someone left and you got to their business card, they left a company, and you get to their business card and their email bounces or their phone number. No, we can't even find them.
You threw it away and went, eh.
So with LinkedIn, it's self-updating. They get a new job, they update it, you're connected, you have the ability to find out where they are and reach out and continue that relationship. So that's number one. Number two, it is the place for business. And while it was initially a job-seeking tool, it is now a deeply embedded networking tool. And I don't want to use the word lead gen or
Mm-hmm.
prospecting tool, because what happens when you say that is that people do the worst thing you can do on LinkedIn, which is the connect and pitch.
Oh,
You
I
know,
hate that. Mm-hmm.
but what I will say is it's an incredible
Mm-hmm.
opportunity starter,
Mm-hmm.
conversation starter with the
Mm-hmm.
right people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really important. The
Mm-hmm.
other, there's the outbound activity that you
Mm-hmm.
can do, and there's an enormous amount of inbound activity.
Mm-hmm.
So the outbound activity can really align with cold calling,
Mm-hmm.
warming up calls.
Mm-hmm.
Outbound activity can be around asking for
Mm-hmm.
introductions
Mm-hmm.
from shared connections. Inbound activity takes longer,
Mm-hmm.
but you kind of have to balance both. You've
Mm-hmm.
got to do both. So
Right.
you want to be seen as the subject matter expert. You want
Mm-hmm.
to start conversations with people around polls or content that's
Mm-hmm.
meaningful to them. There's just a couple of rules to make it work right. The first one is we have to detach from what the prospect is worth to us and
Mm-hmm.
attach to what we are worth to the prospect.
Aha.
Right? If we don't do that, we
Mm-hmm.
come off as the salesperson we
Mm-hmm.
don't want to come off
Mm-hmm.
as, right? When we start with our mission, our passion, what we want, I'm excited to tell you, I'm excited to share with
Mm-hmm.
you. It's about you, it's about
Mm-hmm.
me. I got,
Right.
right? But if we start with real value,
Mm-hmm.
if we start with your insights would be very valuable
Mm-hmm.
for a blog post I'm
Right.
writing, or I came across this article on the industry that you
Mm-hmm.
serve, and I thought you might get some real value
Mm-hmm.
from it. Let me
Mm-hmm.
know if you're interested. I'm happy to
Mm-hmm.
send it to you, right? There are so many ways to look at this tool, this platform, as an opportunity to earn the right to get the
Mm-hmm.
sales conversation. So that's really important, right? The outbound is it's prospecting with an amazing tool. The
Mm-hmm.
inbound is marketing that salespeople can do at scale.
Mm-hmm.
And, marketing is something that salespeople never really had um, the ability to do,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we'll get into some AI in a little
Mm-hmm.
while, but now with the combination of authentic, customized,
Mm-hmm.
tailored AI prompts and LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm.
you can now create some incredible content that's not around what you want them to know,
Mm-hmm.
but it's around what they want to consume. So
Aha.
that second piece
Mm-hmm.
is we need to lead to our solution, not with it. Our
Mm-hmm.
content should not be leading with our
Right.
solution, but our content
Mm-hmm.
should get them curious and leaning in and
Mm-hmm.
wanting to learn more.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I mentioned it in your bio, trust-based conversation.
Right.
And we all get the connect and pitch. And I will connect with most people, even if they don't say why they want to connect. If I get a request to connect, most of the time I will accept it. Now, if I can tell, I get several a week. Hey, we can increase your thing on iTunes, your podcast. Yeah, and I'm like, no, I'm just not even going to connect with you.
Yeah,
And
send them my way.
you know, and those who if I say, okay, yes, I will connect with you, and I click that little button, if they immediately, and it's immediate because it's an auto generated response, if I immediately get the pitch, and it's right, it starts off with, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I can do
We
this.
help people just like you.
Yes, and I love the people who are going to help me with my marketing, and every once in a while I'll engage with them, because I say, well, you clearly didn't read my profile, because I have my own marketing firm. Or they will say, hey, do you want to be on YouTube? I'm on YouTube. So and that is the problem with those auto generators. And I'm sure that it works, or at least every once in a while, or they wouldn't be doing it. But they're probably striking out, obviously, far more times. And the problem is, they might actually have a good tool, a good resource. They might be a great resource, but I'm not going to get past that me stage.
Yeah, and no one wants to work with narcissists.
Right.
That's just kind of what it comes
Mm-hmm.
down to. And often they are victims of the
Mhm.
company they hired,
Right. Hmm.
right? And so, but it's still your reputation.
Hmm.
If you mess up a cold call, they hang up and they have
Hmm.
no idea who you are.
Hmm.
You mess up on LinkedIn, they know
Hmm.
your name, your
Hmm.
face, your company, or,
Hmm.
and it's bad. It's
Hmm.
not, there's not a net neutral. So when
Hmm.
you, when folks go out and say, well, it's a numbers game. If I hit so many people and I
Hmm.
get so, the long game you lose
Right.
every single
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
And so it's really important that we slow down our
Hmm.
outreach to speed up our
Hmm.
outcome.
Right. Yeah. And it's just adding a little bit. We're not talking years. This is reading their posts and commenting. As you said, sending them something, hey, here's a link to an article that I thought you might like based on a post that you did. Just being that helpful, friendly person. Because then what you want them to do is exactly what you said. Tell me a little bit more about what you do. Then you can say, okay, here's what I do. And I love those when I get those, because but it's really funny because a lot of times they even deflect those back. Well, tell me what you do. And and kind of develop that relationship. We've all said it before. It's kind of like when you're going to the bar, right? You don't walk up to the first person and say, you want to marry me? You could if you've had a lot, but yeah, it's just never going to work. You have to date before you can get to that next step. And it is very much about how do you build those trusted relationships.
Yeah, and to your point, we really need to treat the people on the other side of the message the same way we would if they were on the other side of the
Right.
table.
Yeah. If you were to
If
walk up to them in person, you wouldn't me them to death.
correct. Right. And the other thing is, the tailoring. Now, AI can help tailor, but
Mm-hmm.
I want to be careful because we need a human touch.
Mm-hmm.
AI can take a template and then you can add to that template
Mm-hmm.
personally.
Mm-hmm.
So don't say, hey, we have 17 people in common, but go in there and say, hey, I see you know
Mm-hmm.
Deb. We're co-members
Mm-hmm.
of the C-suite network.
Right.
How do
Mm-hmm.
you know her?
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden it's not, hey, we know
Mm-hmm.
17 people in common,
Mm-hmm.
let's connect.
Right.
So, slowing that
Mm-hmm.
down and having true rapport building
Mm-hmm.
conversations is what works.
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of folks will say, well, I want that automation because it's the easy
Mm-hmm.
button. Well, there's a lot, doing nothing is more
Mm-hmm.
productive for your
Mm-hmm.
reputation than doing it
Right.
wrong. And
Mm-hmm.
that's easier.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, and heaven forbid you get reported to LinkedIn for
three
spamming.
people, you're shut down.
Yep. Oh yeah. And you're right. People want the easy button. And but easy is almost never the better way. In business, we have to build relationships. We're not going to spend $1, $10,000 with somebody just on the basis of an initial LinkedIn conversation, and especially when it's really clear that they're not really communicating with you. It's a bot, it's an autoresponder, it's whatever, and and I realize that in many cases they're not even real people. They've just set up accounts that are trying to strike it rich.
Yeah. And it doesn't work or we would all
Mm-hmm.
do it.
Right,
Right.
right.
It just doesn't work. But
Mm-hmm.
almost everyone gets suckered into it at one time or
Mm-hmm.
another to give it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't tell you how many people come to me and say, so I have, 3,000
Mm-hmm.
targeted connections,
Mm-hmm.
but I've never had one
Mm-hmm.
conversation with them. What do I
Right,
do? Right.
right. Mm-hmm.
So, it's interesting that you say, so there is no easy button in starting rapport, building relationships, and connecting with human beings. That may be an opportunity. But with AI, it's an easier button.
Mm-hmm. Right.
The key is you have to leverage AI authentically and in your
Mm-hmm.
voice.
Mm-hmm.
And when we started in AI, that there were four major issues.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, everything you wrote was clearly AI.
Right.
It
It had no personality.
even if you gave it a
Mm-hmm.
personality, there were telltale
Mm-hmm.
signs, right, that it was AI. The second thing is, even with like ChatGPT has
Mm-hmm.
instructions and even with its ability to learn,
Mm-hmm.
it would get confused. Are
Mm-hmm.
you talking about you or are you talking about your client?
Mm-hmm.
And you might have different messages for different industries,
Mm-hmm.
or you might have to. The other thing is, it got confused about my clients.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'm selling to a solopreneur
Mm-hmm.
into our 197
Mm-hmm.
membership,
Mm-hmm.
or sometimes I'm selling to a CRO with 500 sales
Right.
reps.
The enterprise type of. Mm-hmm.
Right. And it would get
Mm-hmm.
confused. So two other issues. I had over 300 prompts because
Mm-hmm.
I love prompt writing, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
happy to share all that magic
Mm-hmm.
today. But how do you manage those
Mm-hmm.
and use those,
Right.
right? Way that and build off of
Mm-hmm.
them. And the last thing was, how do you organize your chats?
Mm-hmm.
I would have a chat, I would do a pre-call planning summary for a
Mm-hmm.
prospect, and then I might not talk to them again for a couple of months.
Right. Because you
But now
didn't
I want
need
to
to.
but now I want to go back and
Mm-hmm.
find that chat.
Mm-hmm.
All the research I did, all the
Mm-hmm.
pre-call planning
Mm-hmm.
that I did. And none of the LLMs made that easy. So
Mm-hmm.
we actually went out looking for a solution for
Mm-hmm.
those things,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
So we built it, and that's what
Right. Mm-hmm.
AI.
Right. And I think that's the thing is I think many people don't even think you can match the two, and they're like, no, because we've had a lot of other guests on this month who have been talking about, okay, we use it to write marketing, we use it to write emails, and they're not quite sure then how they get it from that into LinkedIn without losing, the or spending a lot of time. I talked to somebody and they said, I spend as much time figuring it out on AI. I could have just typed it into LinkedIn and done it, right? And so they're not seeing that you can connect them. So let's just kind of do it from the very basic. You and I are connected on LinkedIn. Then what?
Well, so it depends on why we connected. So
Right. Mm-hmm.
let's go higher level for a
Okay.
minute.
Yeah,
Okay.
because you have to have a reason or you are just being
There's got
salesy.
to be a context,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So, but let's go higher level.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing we want to do is identify our ICP.
Mm-hmm.
Who
Mm-hmm.
is it that we want to connect
Mm-hmm.
with,
Right.
right?
And
And
folks, it's not everyone. We talk about this on the program all the time. You have to have your niche. Otherwise, you're wasting everybody's time.
so there are two things to build an
Mm-hmm.
ICP. There's the kind of companies you want to go
Mm-hmm.
after
Mm-hmm.
and the people that you want to go
Mm-hmm.
after,
Right.
right? So we start with companies. So,
Mm-hmm.
and this you could do in the free LinkedIn. You
Mm-hmm.
can go into LinkedIn and you can find all the companies in the right size market, in the
Mm-hmm.
industry, in the geographic
Mm-hmm.
location that you'd like to
Mm-hmm.
pursue. And then there is a first degree button.
Mm-hmm.
So how many of those companies are
Right.
already represented? Do I
Mm-hmm.
already have a person
Mm-hmm.
where I can start with a warm
Mm-hmm.
market
Mm-hmm.
and going in there? So that's number one.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing, we move to people.
Mm-hmm.
So we have our ICP. Let's look at our first degree
Mm-hmm.
connections. How many people are we connected to already that we should have a
Mm-hmm.
conversation with?
Right.
Right? And then how do we do that?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we can come back to lots of campaigns,
Mm-hmm.
but we might say, and if you have Sales Navigator, you can look at those people and who shared on content, who changed jobs,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's
Mm-hmm.
lots of
Mm-hmm.
reasons that are their reasons to
Right.
start a
Mm-hmm.
conversation. And there are lots of campaigns that we can run that are meaningful to them,
Mm-hmm.
based on content that would be helpful,
Mm-hmm.
or opportunities
Mm-hmm.
to be quoted in a
Mm-hmm.
blog post. Like there's lots of
Mm-hmm.
things, wrote on a poll,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm happy to share where you
Mm-hmm.
benchmark to your peers, all
Mm-hmm.
these fun things, right? So your first degree connections, you can message unlimited, and you
Mm-hmm.
can send video messages
Right.
on the mobile.
Mm-hmm.
And there's over a 90% success rate, reply rate on a video
Right.
message.
It's
Yeah,
fun. And you're talking to them.
100%. You can't fake that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, and sometimes it's, hey, Deb, just recently came across this amazing
Mm-hmm.
study on the future of marketing, and I
Mm-hmm.
thought you might get some value
Mm-hmm.
from it. I'm going to stick a link below.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to hear your thoughts
Mm-hmm.
around it or your insights.
Mm-hmm.
And I send a video, and you're like, oh, what? That was definitely for me. There was
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
no, right? So,
Right. Yeah,
really,
I get 15 emails and I get one video. I'm going to pay attention to the video.
yeah, absolutely. It's a huge win. So the second thing now is that same ICP list,
Mm-hmm.
but second degree connections.
Mm-hmm.
Who does my network know
Right.
that I want to meet,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's
Mm-hmm.
the look through my network's
Mm-hmm.
Rolodex
Mm-hmm.
generally.
Mm-hmm.
And I can leverage now my shared
Mm-hmm.
connections to either get introductions or
Mm-hmm.
permission to name drop. But let's say
Mm-hmm.
I'm going through this and I notice, Deb is connected to one of these people that
Mm-hmm.
I want to meet. I can actually go in to that search, and this is available in the free, not just
Mm-hmm.
Sales Navigator, and do connections of and put Deb Cryer's name in
Mm-hmm.
there, right? Now, not just that one person, but the
Mm-hmm.
72 people that Deb
Mm-hmm.
knows that meet that criteria come
Mm-hmm.
up. So if you're a client or a networking partner, this is an incredible
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to say, hey, Deb, can I run these names by you and get your
Right.
thoughts?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm never going to
Mm-hmm.
ask you for introductions into these people. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
there's one or two,
Mm-hmm.
but I will ask permission to name drop.
Right.
So I'll say, hey, Deb, if there's anyone on this
Mm-hmm.
list that you'd rather me not
Mm-hmm.
mention that we're friends or we're
Mm-hmm.
connected, let me know.
Mm-hmm.
And 72, I may end up with 60-ish
Mm-hmm.
people that I
Right.
can reach
Yeah,
out
because
to.
most people are going to go, oh, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you say, who should I not?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right? That they're going to take out the minimal
Mm-hmm.
amount of people
Mm-hmm.
versus the other way. If you say, who should I?
Mm-hmm.
You'll also get the minimal amount of
Right.
people.
Because they're going to spend 10 seconds looking over the list. And the knots are, I mean, that's very valuable information because maybe they're not there anymore, or you don't want to work with them, or anything along those lines.
Mm. Sometimes the nod is simply, I have no idea who they are or why I'm.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah. I had one last week that, this woman sent me an email, and she'd been on my podcast years ago and we had just stayed connected. And she said, hey, I see on LinkedIn you are connected to so and so. I've been trying to connect with them. Can basically same thing. Can I use your name? Well, of course, I didn't know who they were because we don't know every single connection we have, right? So I looked him and I still didn't know who the person was. And so I was very honest. I went back to the person and I said, I'm not sure who they are. If you want to use my name, sure, that's great. I think they're probably going to go, who? But it was so much better. First, that she asked permission,
Yeah.
but then I said, what's going on? And she was like, oh, well, we've got this new thing and then what happened was I knew other people that she should talk to. And of course, that was all, it just part of that kind of organic process because we like to help each other, especially when somebody's nice and polite about it.
Absolutely. Now, I'll tell you one thing that I don't always do,
Mm-hmm.
but I have for the right people, which is a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, I'm not sure how I connected,
Mm-hmm.
but I can reach out and see if they're open to an introduction.
Right.
And so I've reached out and I'll say, hey,
Mm-hmm.
Deb, I was talking with Jeffrey. He knows we
Mm-hmm.
were connected.
Mm-hmm.
Ask for an introduction. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure if you recall, and I will look at the date we connected because you can
Mm-hmm.
do that in contact
Right.
information.
Mm-hmm.
But we connected back in November of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we haven't really gotten to know each other, but I
Mm-hmm.
do use LinkedIn for
Mm-hmm.
networking. And Jeffrey's a great guy. Are you
Mm-hmm.
open to an
Mm-hmm.
introduction?
Right.
And then you make that introduction, and it sometimes it's very valuable. And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, if he comes back, either says no or
Mm-hmm.
ignores it, he would ignore the other person also.
Right. Yeah. So it's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah. And folks, when you're wondering about this, so I just pulled up Brynne's LinkedIn account, and we have 376 mutual connections.
I'm not
I had to do the
surprised.
math there because, and it's funny because I mean, some of them are people that it's C-suite, things like that. But there are so many others where it's like, ooh, cool, you know that person, and those things. And then you can go in. I mean, I just, I went to the specific person, but then like you were saying, I can sort it by first, I can sort it by second, by third, current company. I mean,
Third's not
all of
good.
those things. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Third's not good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just sharing as
Mm-hmm.
you're saying that, just for I know you probably know that, but for the
Mm-hmm.
audience, your first degrees, you have a connection with your
Right.
second, share a
Second,
connection.
those, it's like your second cousin, right? You might know who they are, you might not. And third, nah, I never spend time with third. That's so far removed that there is no point. Because if you knew them, you'd be a first degree connection.
Yeah. Now, we talked a little bit about campaigns, and
Mm-hmm.
there are ways to create campaigns around those third degree if they
Mm-hmm.
are a very high
Mm-hmm.
target.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're in a business where, um, you're not bound by accounts. Like some
Mm-hmm.
people,
Mm-hmm.
they have 40 accounts and that's it.
Right.
Right. Or other people in your company might be assigned the account. You
Mm-hmm.
can't go out. So if
Mm-hmm.
the world is your oyster in
Right.
your niche,
Mm-hmm.
in your little
Mm-hmm.
niche, right? Um, then thirds are usually not productive.
Right.
But
Especially if
sometimes,
you're somebody like you and I who have so many connections.
right? But sometimes, and I face this often. Like I work with a lot of bankers,
Mm-hmm.
and they only connect typically with people they've met. And
Mm-hmm.
so, they've been on LinkedIn for 10 years, but
Mm-hmm.
they have 200
Right.
connections, right?
But there
And
are
so
200 really good
that is
connections.
absolutely true, absolutely
Mm-hmm.
true. But they will come across thirds that they're
Mm-hmm.
responsible for.
Mm-hmm.
So their bank may say, hey, we need to infiltrate this company, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have any connections
Mm-hmm.
there. There are ways to warm it up.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to share a couple just from,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
right? So one of them is go find content from, if it's a big enough company,
Mm-hmm.
from that company.
Mm-hmm.
Google it, go
Mm-hmm.
look if there's press
Mm-hmm.
release, and reach out to the person, say, hey, I came across this
Mm-hmm.
press release. I was
Mm-hmm.
really impressed. Often executives can
Mm-hmm.
miss their own content.
Mm-hmm.
Let's connect. I'm happy to send a
Mm-hmm.
link to you. Now it's about them.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Not me, 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 me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's absolutely one
Mm-hmm.
way. If you are local, so the bankers are usually
Mm-hmm.
local,
Right.
I will say, hey, are you going to a networking event?
Mm-hmm.
Invite them as your guest.
Yep.
Right. So, hey, George, I know we've never
Mm-hmm.
met, but I know that you're in, the local business here
Mm-hmm.
in Cape Cod.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be going to the Provincetown
Mm-hmm.
Chamber next week, and I'd love to invite you as my
Mm-hmm.
guest. And so those are reasons
Mm-hmm.
that you can start to connect
Mm-hmm.
with people
Mm-hmm.
that are self-serving.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, I think the biggest thing that people, are afraid of is it's just so big, right? We just said 374 connections. And then people went, "Oh my God, I have no idea how to do that." So let's talk about how we can bring AI into this mix.
So I love this. So, I use AI from a marketing perspective
Mm-hmm.
and a sales
Right.
perspective, right? So the marketing is the inbound, the
Mm-hmm.
sales is the outbound.
Mm-hmm.
The inbound is pretty simple, but I'm going to share for prompt writing, we have a easy button, 6-step process where I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually publishing a book with Bob Woods and Stan Robinson
Mm-hmm.
shortly called Prompt Writing Made
Mm-hmm.
Easy. And it's our framework.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the crispy framework.
Okay.
It's simple. Ready? And wait, before I say it's simple, it's made for the best content in your brand voice.
Okay.
So what I'm about to share can absolutely personalize and customize all the content in your voice so it doesn't sound like AI.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Crispy. C is context, right? What do I want? I
Mm-hmm.
want a blog post. I
Mm-hmm.
want a video script.
Mm-hmm.
I want, right? What do I want?
Mm-hmm.
Easy, right? Second one is role. What is the role I want AI to play?
Okay.
So you are a world-class Pulitzer Prize interview journalist who is interviewing me for X, Y, and Z, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, right? So it's context, role.
Mm-hmm.
I is inspiration. Now's where you have fun.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to be like this and feel like this. And
Mm-hmm.
I want to create compelling
Mm-hmm.
moments, and I want people to lean in and have aha,
Mm-hmm.
go, oh my gosh, she's brilliant, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, right? Those are the inspiration,
Mm-hmm.
all the things that you want to get out of
Mm-hmm.
it. Then it's scope. I want it to be a 3-minute video script.
Okay.
I want it to be 1,000 words.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a marketing plan for 30
Mm-hmm.
days, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
scope. What
Mm-hmm.
does this project
Mm-hmm.
look like from scope? Next is prohibitions.
Mm.
This is so important.
Right.
What do I want AI to not do?
Mm-hmm.
Which do not start a paragraph with a prepositional phrase.
Ah,
In today's ever-changing world, right?
no cliches. Mm-hmm.
That's another one.
Mm-hmm.
No cliches,
Mm-hmm.
unless I specifically add one.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Because I actually have said that, and then I wrote a cliche,
Mm-hmm.
and it wouldn't do it because my prohibition
You said, yeah. Mm-hmm. You had to say, no, it's okie dokie. Mm-hmm.
yeah, override.
Mm-hmm.
Do not use fostering or delve
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
any, because those are words I don't use.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of saying crucial, say vital, because that's a word I use.
Right.
You
Mm-hmm.
yours, right?
Mm-hmm.
So prohibitions is big. Now here's
Mm-hmm.
the last one. The why is you.
Ah.
So this is ask me any question you need
Mm-hmm.
to complete every question. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to start that
Mm-hmm.
again. Ask me every question that you need to complete this
Mm-hmm.
task one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So now instead of giving you an answer, which is what a
Mm-hmm.
normal prompt
Mm-hmm.
would do, it asks you questions and you answer it,
Right.
and it's in your voice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love it. And I've used that because, we do some other things. And you had said, hey, this is what you want to do. I wrote it down. And I think it's one of those where we think AI is all smart and all knowing. No, it has way too much. And so by basically saying, do you have enough information to answer this? You are helping it to not be so overly general that it's not working.
Yeah, I actually tell it that it doesn't have enough.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right. I don't say
Mm-hmm.
ever, which is interesting, do you have enough information? Because it will say yes.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't think it would know how to say no. I think that would confuse it. It would hurt its little brain.
It would.
Mm-hmm.
But when I say, ask me the questions you need to complete this task one at a time, you don't know what you're going to get. Sometimes it's 3 questions, sometimes it's 9. And sometimes you answer a question and it will go deeper.
Right. Yeah. It's like, oh, okay, then,
Yeah. And so when you like that to me, so we're writing a book that's, prompt writing made easy. And we're really teaching how to leverage the crispy framework.
I love it. And when AI first came out, we all gave, the general prompts, and we got, you might get you're going to get something, right? But it's probably just going to be okay. The more detailed it gets, the better the answer is going to be. I mean, it's just like, if you ask your kid, how was school today? They're going to grunt.
Fine.
But if you say, how is Mrs. Smith's biology class? Then you're going to hear about Mrs. Smith's biology class. If you say, oh, did she give you homework? It's all of those, and people, I think part of what freaks people out about AI is, we're in essence having conversations with it. And so they're thinking, okay, it's going to rule the world. No, it needs that information in order to give us the best answers. And if you think that's a conversation, it kind of is. I mean, I say please, I say thank you to it, which, you get different answers. That's the weirdest thing about it. But yeah, if you're going to somebody that you're working with, you're not going to say, give me a list of 300 people I should contact. Yeah, you'll get a list of 300 people, but it's going to be so random that it's not going to work.
However, if you throw in, ask me all the questions you need to
Yes,
complete
then
this
it will
task one at a
say,
time.
what are the 300? What's the criteria that you're looking for?
And now you'll get a great list.
Yeah. And that's the important thing is, it might take a little bit longer during that initial process, but you're going to get so much better results that it's worth it. And that's the thing that we want to emphasize to folks is you get out of it what you put into it. If you say, give me 300 contacts, you'll get 300 contacts. But if you have drilled down so that you've got location, job title, all of those various things that, your ideal client profile, right? Then you will get the right people. Are you going to get 100% every time? No. Because part of it might be, I love the people who, and we went through this phase there for a while on LinkedIn where people created very fun job titles. And it's like, no, if I read your job title and don't know what it means, then that's not going to work. I need to know the CMO, I need to know the chief, the director of marketing, whatever it is. So folks, no more cutesies. Put in there and founder.
You could put cutesy at the end. So you could say founder, CEO, and then have a separator. And then you could get cute after the separator.
Yeah, I do, or whatever.
Helping.
Right. Yeah. And people still need titles. I remember years ago, I went to an eWomen Network event. And the founder was actually there speaking. And I, went and it was great. And she said, people don't care about your titles. And in many cases, they really don't.
I disagree.
But because you need to know, am I talking to the right person? And that's where the title comes in.
In two ways, right? So am I talking to the right person that I want to sell, but am I also talking to the right person that I want to buy from? So one of the things we often say with salespeople, so titles matter, but if you have sales rep or business development rep as your title, that could hurt you. Right. So client advocate. So there are times, as much as I just said how important those titles are, you also want to take a look at that title and say, will this attract my buyer?
Or send them away.
Right.
So, Oh, so look at that. But again, you have to know those things. And we talk about this all the time on the show. When I ask people, who's your perfect client? They'll look at me and they'll say, everybody. No, there is no company in the world who can sell to everybody. I don't care what they are. I mean, we've tried to figure out, Walmart sells to a certain type of person. Starbucks sells to, my husband does not like Starbucks because he does not like frou-frou coffee, right? I like frou-frou coffee, so I like Starbucks. There's also an income level that's going to be there. Somebody might have the income to go to Dunkin' Donuts for their fancy coffee, but they're not going to go to Starbucks because it's more expensive. And so figure out who those are, because, again, I don't want to waste my time communicating with people that, have absolutely no interest in what I'm going to do. And they don't want to waste their time potentially reading it. And so why not sit down and target? And yes, that limits things, and that's the thing that people say, but, I went from 1,000 people to 10. Okay. Those 10 might be the 10 people who are going to buy from you. And the other 9,000, however many, I can't do that math in my head. Yeah. That's it. Would never buy from you. So why even bother? Now, there is the fluke every once in a while where it's like, okay, I'm not going to buy, but I might know somebody who would. That's not going to happen enough to make it worth it.
Yeah. And I just have to throw out, the best coffee at the best price is Wawa. Period. End of story. If you don't know Wawa,
we have no Wawas. We don't have Wawas in Georgia.
So you do in Florida, you could take a ride down.
Yes.
But at Northeast, hands down, the best coffee, and it's like the price of a real cup of coffee.
Right. Yeah, it's in a convenience store.
I just have to share, and people will walk in, in jeans, shorts,
Right.
and they're construction people, and
The
people walk in with a
Lamborghini
Birkin.
folks. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people walk in with their Birkin, or they're working.
Right.
There
Right.
you go.
But they're still, they know exactly who they're marketing to.
People that like good coffee.
And that's the thing. And so, is there a point when you take over from AI in that relationship?
Is that well? So you should
You've
never
been part of it all along. Let me go back.
You should
Yes.
never have given up.
Right. Right.
It is your right hand. Right. It's part of your day.
Right.
Just like email. So, a lot of people say to me, I just don't have time. I have a friend who has a marketing, I won't go too much, but a marketing person who's very frustrated with AI because they're in marketing research and jobs are tough, right?
Right.
But we have to embrace AI deeply. And I'll say, in 1992, I got email for the first time at work. And I'm not kidding you. I sat in my manager's office. I can picture the whole office and this whole conversation. I'm like, Marianne, how do you expect me to work this email into my day? I am so busy. There is no time for this. Almost in tears. I mean, I was young.
Right.
And in sales with a very high quote. And I look at AI like that today. Can you imagine not having email?
Right.
You can't. But so it sped things up. And now AI will speed that up also.
Right.
But you have to be part of it. Your voice has to be part of it. You shouldn't send a robot to a networking meeting because you're not going to build rapport and relationships. You shouldn't send a robot to make your LinkedIn connections and relationships.
Right.
But we need to make it easier. And AI is there to do that. And LinkedIn, by the way, in the Sales Navigator product, has an incredible, it's called Account IQ, which will go out and pull all the public information of a company. You can see press releases and you can see their financials and you can see the
and folks, that's AI. For everybody who goes, I don't use it. It's there already and you've been using it. Or you should have been.
Yeah, I mean, they find funding opportunity when companies have had funding. It's amazing. So Sales Navigator and LinkedIn itself uses AI all the time. But their AI for profiles, by the way, is terrible though. It's not there yet. Do not
don't let it. Yeah, you need to still write your own profile. Right.
Yeah.
Now,
or reach out to me because I have some crispy prompts.
Ooh, yes,
to
help
you write to help you write your
Mm-hmm.
profile in your voice.
Right. I love it. And you can even, there's an option to have it, you write your post and then you can have AI rewrite it.
Mm-hmm.
I've done that. Sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it's not, because you're not giving any prompts. It's just taking what you wrote and going, this might sound better. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But that's the thing. I had no input to be able to say, can you humanize this? Can you make it funny? All of those things. Now, can I go off into Chat GPT or something else and do that and go back in there? I've done that too. Because I get tired of my own writing. And so I figure everybody else does too. And so I will put it into, one of the other platforms and say, make this more serious, make this funny, make it whatever. Then, like you were saying, I go back in and go, I don't even know what that word is, so I wouldn't use it. And to me, it's just like I'm talking to another person, right? Back to that whole conversation thing. I've got, an admin assistant. That is what this is. You're going to run it past them. They're going to suggest other ways to do it. They might write the whole thing, all those things. It's like you say, it's your right hand. And that's the way you should be using it. It's very much a part of you, and don't ever let it go off by itself, because then it is going to hallucinate, as we've been saying.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that authenticity is really important. One of the things we did with Ask SSL is we have different avatars. So I have an avatar that's totally in my voice, and I keep training it. And if it has a word that comes out that I go, oh, I never use that,
Right.
I put it into my avatar and it'll never use it again.
Right.
Or I will take all the ebooks. We have over 100 ebooks. And I upload those PDFs to my avatar. And then whenever I'm looking to write an email, it will pull from existing content. And so the more you use it, the more it learns. Now, I have an avatar for me for speaking about AI. I have an avatar for me speaking about LinkedIn.
Because it's different.
Because it's different.
Right. Well, oh my gosh, we don't have very much time left. And so for the people who are still going, you have a great product with Ask SSL. So give us kind of a summary of how that works.
Oh, so AskSSL.ai is your personalized AI. We help you completely personalize it. So all of the prompts that you run, we have 300, but you can run all your own, is done on your avatar, right? With your prohibitions, and it knows you. So I just ran this, Jen Gluckow is a very good friend of mine, and we put in her avatar and we ran it. And the first post was, would you like this to be for, and it put out her whole ICP. So she didn't have to teach it. It knew. Right. And so she was like, oh my gosh, that's absolutely amazing. And that's what we're doing. We help you build your own custom prompts. In fact, if someone actually schedules a demo, we write a custom prompt for them. Part of the demo is we use Ask SSL
to show them how it works. Yeah.
Show them how it works, but we give them the prompt. So it's, and that's, if you go to socialsaleslink.com/askSSL-demo. Oh, no, just demo. Sorry. Start over. Socialsaleslink.com/demo. Schedule with any one of the three of us, and you get your own prompt.
Cool. I love it. And it is a membership type of thing. And you do have free. And I was looking through the number of things that you provide in the free version.
A lot.
Yeah. And I always tell people, try free first. And then there's obviously different levels of membership, but there's so much great information here. And so for people who are totally freaking out, take a couple deep breaths, calm down. This is not going away. And I think that is the thing that people really need to remember, is it's not going away, folks. So you can either use it or get run over by the people who do use it.
That's a painful awakening.
Right. And that's going to be in a lot of what people are doing. If I were a graphic designer, I'd be getting a little antsy. Right now it still puts, it doesn't know how to do hands, and it can't spell for beans. I was trying to do something, and even though I told it the word is MONDAY, it couldn't do that. I was like, okay, this is not going to work. But it's learning, and it's learning not every day. It's learning every second. Every millisecond, whatever is the smallest, it's because it's a 24/7 world. But again, how do people find you, and what are the resources that you provide?
So if you go to socialsaleslink.com/membership, you will see our free membership. Please feel free to join that. Our AskSSL.ai. I am still the only Brynne Tillman on LinkedIn. And look for my 2 books coming out. The first one is Prompt Writing Made Easy, and that will be promptwritingmadeeasy.com. when this first comes out, so if you're listening to us in the first publication, the book's not out yet, but a month from now.
It will be soon. We'll keep you posted. I'll go back and update the show notes.
Yeah. And then I'm beyond honored and excited and like still pinching myself, but writing a book with Jeb Blunt from Sales Gravy. It's a Wiley publication called The LinkedIn Edge. And we are at the edge of submitting it.
I love it. I love it. Well, this has been so much fun. And I'm thinking we kind of maybe we need to do this every year. And it'll be interesting to see how much it changes in a year. Sure. And so we will definitely have you back. But until then, are there any final thoughts that you want to leave everyone with?
If you're going to use AI, make sure it's in your voice, don't leave it to AI to decide how you show up.
I love it. I love it. Well, I am Deb Creer. I've been having so much fun talking with my friend Brynne Tillman. And until next time, everyone have a great day.
Tune in for our next program for even more trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. The Business Power Hour, hosted by Deb Creer, is proud to be part of the C-Suite Network.